Good evening, everyone. It is July 9th, 2023. Now, before we get into what I'm looking for next week, let's get into what we had. I was looking for a sub 100 point range on the ES, and that is what we had. I was looking for a bid somewhere around 44.22. We got it at 19.5, and then I was looking for a return back above 44.60, and that's what we had. Now, you can't see it in this chart, so let's pull this up over here. Right after we got that bid up, we crapped right out into the close, making a new low on the Friday session. Same thing on the NQ, nothing too dissimilar. Getting that Friday rally into the gap close and then into the weekly open and then crapping out. Both tickers doing that. Interesting to note that NQ did not get down to its prior week's VWAP close, managed to hold a little bit above that. ES did get to its prior week's VWAP close. So what we have now is a 3-week balance, and it's actually easier to see on the ES, kind of this sort of thing. I'd kind of look at it 44.85 down to 43.85, so kind of like this. This is the balance that I'm watching now. Last week, I was a little bit biased to seeing that backfill and then seeing what we could get. This week, I'm coming into it with no real bias, just kind of looking for whatever we can get. We don't have any. We don't have any major news coming out tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. We do have CPI and the 10-year base book will just slow down the market, get a little bit of a spike probably. Thursday, PPI. Friday, you have University of Michigan. I think it's the inflation report or something. But in general, I think we'll just be waiting on that CPI to come out as well as the PPI data. So I'm expecting a smaller Monday and Tuesday, kind of just rotating within this 100-point balance. NQ a little bit different, but overall pretty similar. Just a balance looking something like this. There we go. Some sort of balance like that. Now, I have added one extra little spot on the NQ. I didn't want to make it a full-on zone, this kind of 236 to 280 area. I'm going to be using it instead as a way to gauge the strength, and I'll be considering it weak if we fail that 260 area. I imagine we would not hold that pivot around 100 to 140, 100 to 155. I don't think we'll end up holding that, and instead I think we'll end up rotating down, blowing out all these stops around 15,000 and getting into this 14,990 area. And this will be the critical area to hold. If we do not, I think you end up with a liquidation scenario, maybe some temporary short cover bids around 899, that monthly VWAP close around 900, and then maybe getting a further move down into here or down here, or the full-on contract gap close, if you want to call it that, down to 14,522. I don't think that'll happen this week. I think you're asking for an enormous range on a July week, but that is overall how I'm looking at this market. Same thing on the ES. If we break this 43.85 number, if we break down below kind of last week's low, I'll be expecting. Sorry, I want to make this really clear. If we fail this kind of 44.65 area, call it. Here you go. Call it something like this. If we break this kind of 58, if we fail to break this kind of 58 to 70 area on the upside, I'll be looking for us to break our last week's low. I'll be looking for us to run all these stops around 44K to 43.99. I'll be looking for us to catch a bid somewhere around 85. Now, if we cannot hold a bid there, I think we'll have that same overall move down into the contract gap close around 4,300. 43.2750 also notably being the August swing high from 2022. So that's how I'm overall looking at this. It's important to note that seasonality is bullish. July is one of the most bullish months. And what I would like to see is some sort of clean up to the downside and then getting that very nice uptrend, that kind of bullish, that very drifty upward bullish move, just quietly moving on up into September, and then September you get the clean up to the downside, and then we'll see what happens from there. But overall, that's how I'm looking at this market, is that I need to see a gauge of strength, and here we go, we can just throw it in right now. We can gauge our strength to the upside using these little subzones, if you want to call them that, and from there we can see what we get. over here, something like this. There we go, something like that. That's what I'm looking at. Evaluating the upside strength with this 4460-ish or 15,240-ish to 60-ish area. If we break that, I imagine we'll get some sort of temporary sell-off from the last week's point of control around here, eventually getting bid, breaking these highs, going further upwards. If we fail here, looking for this last week's low to get broken and find a bid or fail at 990. Same thing on ES. Evaluate the upside here. If we break upwards, we eventually break out. If we do not manage to break here, looking for last week's low to break, run these stops, get into 43.85. That's our make or break moment as to whether we eventually liquidate down to 4,300. 6-minute video, not too bad. Daily plan out later tonight. Have a great week. Trade safe.